And we start right away with exclusive material. Right now, unique footage of a real battle in the Kursk region. Ukrainian paratroopers defeated the enemy in their own lair. Soon, you will see everything. And the Kremlin terrorists need to think about what's happening in the Bryansk region. Z propaganda is in hysteria. According to her, the armed forces of Ukraine shelled a local customs point where Russian military were stationed. It feels like the Bryansk and Belgorod regions are mentally preparing for the entry of Ukrainian troops into these areas. We watch all the details and draw conclusions.
Exclusive footage of a real battle. Ukrainian paratroopers showed how the offensive in the Kursk region took place. The assault troops note that as a result of a swift and unexpected maneuver for the enemy, the defense forces were able to occupy new positions and significantly improve their tactical position.
According to the data available in open sources, the Ukrainian defense forces have currently taken control of about 100 kilometers of the Kursk region. This is since the last counteroffensive. That is, as we can see, the zone of presence of the Ukrainian defense forces is expanding. We can say that a number of settlements have come under the control of the Ukrainian defense forces. The settlement of Makhnovka has been completely cleared of the presence of Russian troops. There is further advancement into Russian territory.
In Russia, of course, they deny everything and claim that everything is going according to plan. For example, the alcohol minister Masha Zakharova reacted to the words of Ukrainian President Zelensky about the possibility of exchanging Russian territories in the Kursk region for Ukrainian ones. During the negotiations,
in the Kursk region, the neo-Nazis operating there are awaited by a plot of land without any exchange, approximately 1 meter by 2 and 1.5 meters deep. Zelensky makes such statements to hide the true scale of the disaster for the armed forces of Ukraine in this direction.
But the scale of the disaster is actually in the Russian army.
Making baseless statements is in the spirit of this alcoholic. But during the last so-called teleconference of the Russian dictator with the citizens of the Russian Federation, when a woman from Kursk asked when Russian troops would expel the defense forces of Ukraine from the Kursk region, Putin could not answer. Moreover, he said, "I will not give you a specific date because it is influenced by a number of factors." And one can understand the Russian dictator. The point is that all the previous deadlines set by the Russian side regarding the expulsion of the so-called neo-Nazis have completely failed.
In Kursk, the Russian army is suffering defeat. In Bryansk, tensions are rising, and the Russians accuse the armed forces of Ukraine of attacking 2 customs checkpoints in the Bryansk region where Russian military were stationed.
The armed forces struck an administrative building at the Trobotnoye checkpoint in the Sevsky district of the Bryansk region. It is located on the border with Ukraine. According to sources, the attack was carried out with 2 guided aerial bombs. On the same day, the armed forces of Ukraine struck another customs checkpoint, Pagar, in the Pagar district of the Bryansk region using a UAV.
Russian Z military correspondents have long been in a panic and are clearly expecting visits from the armed forces of Ukraine in the Bryansk and Belgorod regions. Yet they continue to kill their own citizens on Russian territory. On the evening of February 9th, the Russian army carried out an airstrike on the village of Kazachya Loknya in the Russian region. Before that, on February 11th, the occupiers struck a boarding school in the city of Sudja.
It was not about an indiscriminate strike by the Russian aerospace forces, but about a war crime. That is to say, the deliberate nature of the strike on civilians, the target which led to the severe consequences of the deaths of citizens of the Russian Federation.
Meanwhile, North Korea continues to assist the Kremlin in the war. According to the South Korean Ministry of Defense, North Korea has sent about 200 units of long-range artillery to Russia and is likely to send more troops and weapons for Russian aggression against Ukraine.
This concerns the enhanced nature of military technical cooperation. North Korea is transferring to the Russian Federation accordingly means of destruction. This includes the Koksan self-propelled artillery of 170 mm caliber with a firing range from 40 to 60 kilometers, as well as reconnaissance strike drones. This is a copy of the American Predator. In addition, the transfer from the North Korean side has been recorded means of destruction. This refers to the Kwasem ballistic missiles.
In turn, Russia may send hundreds of its officers to North Korea supposedly for rehabilitation, but in reality to prepare for the war in Ukraine. But the Kremlin is also attacking NATO countries. A Russian Su-24 military aircraft once again violated Polish airspace. The incident occurred during a nighttime attack on Ukraine.
Also during the week, Russian war criminals brutally attacked the capital of Ukraine and the Kyiv region. During a massive nighttime attack, the occupiers launched ballistic missiles, Shaheds, and drone decoys at Ukraine. In particular, the Russians in Kyiv struck the Obolon district with Iskander ballistic missiles where business centers and office spaces are located. A person was killed at the site of the terrorist strike. 4 more were injured. All the details are in the report from our colleagues at the television news service.
Here, the roof was lifted.
Here, the roof was lifted and torn off.
Olya shows her home. Here is the damaged roof, torn off doors and window. It was torn off here.
These doors were torn off here. This lock is completely ripped off. Her son has already nailed it back.
The Russians began striking Kyiv around 5 in the morning. As usual, when people were sleeping, missiles were whistling in the sky over Kyiv. Our air defense intercepted them.
The blast wave was so strong that people fell unconscious.
Olya's house withstood, but the offices across were heavily damaged. They effectively shielded the woman's apartment, and the impact hit them. Later it became known 6 missiles. Ukrainian defenders shot them down. It was ballistic, but the consequences of the Russian terrorist attack were felt by residents of several districts of the capital. Cars, non-residential premises, and houses were destroyed and damaged there. The Obolon district was hit the hardest. Among the injured was a 9-year-old girl. A man died, he was not even 40. He worked as a security guard. Mikhail Ivanovich was also on duty at the time. He survived by a miracle and says he will celebrate his birthday twice.
God directed me, or someone I don't know, maybe a guardian angel, that I went to the sink to wash up at that time. And then this explosion. Before my eyes, the doors and window left the room. If I had been at my post, I probably would have been either cut up here, or I don't even know what would have happened.
Now all over the territory, the man finds trophies like this.
What came flying in?
The office of the Frida TV channel, which daily reports to the world about the crimes of the occupiers, was also damaged. A huge crater formed in the office parking lot, but despite everything, they continued their broadcasting. Employees of offices and companies affected by Russian ballistics, along with utility workers, spent the entire day clearing debris and removing construction waste. And law enforcement documented yet another crime by the Russians